morning we are here testing Periscope to see how we can broadcast and record an overview of material that we're going to use in our classes. So this is a test of our learning online laboratory, and hopefully we're going to save this in our drive, in our pages, so you can take a look and be prepared for discussing the topics in several of our classes and courses. The topic about information security best practices is very trendy these days, when we have seen that cybersecurity and information security in general has been a hot topic in classes and courses, in all the programs and corporations, governments, in a global village. So we have seen cybercrime, we have seen attacks to cyber infrastructure. So, and here we're not going to give you any solutions or any real best practices, because this is something that we don't want to broadcast, but at least we're going to give you what are the topics related to the practices that you should explore in more detail. Again, this is an overview. We are recording and we are doing this live in preparation for the classes. The first topic that we have to cover here is to be sure that all our corporations and organizations and personnel have a very good security policy. How secure you have your information, your privacy features, the way how you do backups to your information. I think, and have been shared this with many opportunities, that we are in an overload mode of information and communications thanks to the use of devices, to the iPhones, tablets and computers, so we can share very easily what we're doing and the information that we are sharing. So we are in an era of big data, and big data can also be information overload, too much data that we have to analyze, that we have to be sure that we are able to digest, dissect, and be able to extract what's really important in our areas of knowledge and our area of work. So the policies, when you read about security policy, well, you will find different kind of ways to do it, from the top bottom of the organization. Obviously, top management, owners are the ones who carry the responsibility to implementing these topics and these policies. Then you have to communicate the policies to everybody in the organization and be sure that everybody comply with the requirements that you establish in the policy. Another important practice is to do a vulnerability assessment, to be sure that you know your strength, but you also know your weaknesses. What are the areas in your information system, in your cyber infrastructure, in your information technology areas that require more detailed review? So doing an assessment is a process that you have to establish with your IT team, with your business team, to be sure that you are able to discover those areas. Do a complete mapping of all the systems that you have, all the organization, and how the people access the data. And then, based on the issues that you find, what are the vulnerabilities, then you can set up the solutions and the way how to prioritize the problems that you have, and finally then determine what areas need more intervention than others. There are many ways and many procedures to do a scanning of your system. I'm sure that those are already working in security know what are the trends, and you can go there and see this in more detail. There are organizations that do testing, or how easy is to access your information, and then you do this testing with your people that you trust in your organization, big or small, and then you will be able to see how well trained are your people and how all the policies are being implemented. Of course, you will see in practices a lot of firewalls, a lot of the different filters or different alternatives that you have to protect your networks. What kind of different type of firewalls that have the different systems and different ways and different companies offering new protection and new systems. Another important topic in security is cryptography. We have been talking about cryptography since the years, but now I think it's more important to ensure that organizations and companies and government know more about cryptography. I was listening these days to a company that have an encrypted laptop with encrypted hard drive, just in case you lose a laptop or you lose a flash drive or you lose something, you have all the information with all the encryption. Sometimes this is something that we don't do a lot in our personal private emails or private conversations and exchange of information, because we think that what we are sharing is not important, but we never know who is behind the other side of the screen and is considering that the information you're sharing is really, really important. So you see here different types of encryption systems, encryption procedures, and then I recommend you to go to the latest trends and to the latest courses and to the latest resources about encryption. Authentication and authorization is also very important, because many companies, you have to realize that all the employees not necessarily have to have access to everything that you are putting on the computers, on the internet, etc. So you have to establish your level of authentication, so that it's important that for the security of the trade secrets or the information that you have in the company. Sometimes you have to have an employee that has to leave the company, and you want to be sure that this person is not taking information that can jeopardize the future of the business of the company. And this is something that has to be very clear for the first day of working. Then, well, you will find different levels or different types of authentication, and you will see the different methods too that you have to consider. Passwords are always a big pain for people. You have to change password every 90 days, 60 days. You have to use a strong password. You have to create weird passwords. You have to use character, lowercase, uppercase. It's a lot of passwords. But what is very important is that you keep them secure, that you keep them in a way to organize your mind, to remember the password, the secret words, your first movie, your favorite restaurant, and all these weird questions that we are normally asked when we are establishing security patterns. You have to use this double security, and sometimes you want the system to send you a text message, but then you don't have access to the internet, or you don't have access to the cellular phone, and then you get into a pain. And this is very important to consider when you travel. When you travel and you are using the internet, or you're using information from other countries, not necessarily you're going to be able to access all your devices. If you don't have an international plan in your cellular phone and the browser is telling you that it's gonna send you a passcode to a cell phone message, be sure that you are able to receive it. I have been in an opportunity that I have to change the method to be able to access. And this is very, very important with the companies that do global travels and global information. I'm sure they already have it, but I'm reminded to the common person that doesn't have all these tools to also apply an extra layer of security. You have to be sure that every time that you feel that you see that you have your accounts are being intruded by someone's you're receiving a spam, to be sure to share and confirm with your friends. When I receive emails or I receive a message that I'm not sure that it's real or not, I prefer to call that person and tell, hey, I am receiving this email from you. This is a real you, or this is something that is hacking you. And it's amazing the number of times I see people that are not aware they have been hacked. Then, of course, you are going to see improve different practices related to detection system, how you are going to detect that something is happening in your system. And then, well, this is also part of your network-based intrusion detection system on how you are going to implement this measure to know. Viruses. We have been dealing with viruses for many years too, at all levels. And when I include the word viruses, I include everything inside that area. That include malware, adware, you name it. So you have to see, you have to be able to know that antivirus and all this software that protect are there, and you have to be able to implement. Finally, we are going to see legislation. What happened to legislation and the local regulations that you have to follow, how different countries are working, compare and contrast with your country and your organization and see how others are doing things. In other places, you want to find that the people do more measures, they spend more time or more resources. In other places, it's less. So that depends on the amount of money or the amount of resources or the importance of the information you are trying to protect. At the end, it's all about self-regulation too. You have to be sure that you are using or promoting some kind of information or rules that are going to protect yourself. You have to know that you know your digital signature, that you know how you protect everything related to your own cybersecurity forces. You have to be the first soldier in protecting your own information. Then we're going to move to another topic related to cybersecurity or security, that is the moral and ethic education. These cybersecurity topics, although it's all very technical and you are talking about networks and encryption, it's all about the person behind the screen, the person behind the keyboard, how our moral education, how our ethics are going to be an important component on protecting the information that we have. In some work, some people have access to information that belongs to other employees, so they can read things. They can go there and find that they have access to information, human resources, and people handling your medical records. All these people have privilege to know more than you. So that, and we have to rely that these people need to be trained in an ethical and moral about the privilege they have of handling information that belongs to other people. So it is very important in your policy that you have all the procedures, the preventive procedures, and the reporting procedure, that what happened is something happened, on how you are going to proceed if you find a flaw in any of the areas in your company that are handling privileged information. Well, the rest of these topics have to do with more details about how you are going to use these tools in a way that can be useful for all the employees and the company and the information from your company. And at the end, it's all about your responsibility. It's about the individual responsibility that are like using the same word, responsible for handling the privileged information that you have based on your responsibility, your work, your area of decision making, and also in preventing others to having access to that privileged information. The bottom line, you are the person behind the screen, you are the person behind the keyboard, and you are at the end the person who is telling the machine what needs to be done.